Khvicha Kvaratskhelia, in the space of 4 months, is now being considered by Napoli fans as the next Diego Maradona. Kvaradona, as he's now being called, went from being somewhat of an unknown player applying his trade outside of Europe's top 5 leagues to now one of the most hottest players in Europe right now and the greatest thing to happen to Napoli this season. His exploits have captivated Napoli fans to the point where they now see a reflection of Diego Maradona in him, hence the nickname Kvaradona. Now, to understand the magnitude of this title that has been placed upon the shoulders of the 21-year-old, Maradona being one of the greatest footballers to have ever played the game and undoubtedly the greatest in Napoli's history, is considered as a literal god in Naples, an adoration which has seen the club rename their entire stadium in his memory, constructed a statue, and even retired the number 10 jersey at the club. So how on earth did this 21-year-old Georgian manage to make an entire fan base compare him to the greatest player to have ever stepped foot into their club in only the space of 4 months? Trust me, he isn't ordinary, and I'm going to show you. Kvaratskhelia seemingly came out of nowhere, but for some time now, at least not on a larger scale, he was actually a pretty big deal prior to the move to Napoli. He began his career at Georgia's biggest club, Dinamo Tbilisi, before moving to Rustavi. In the space of 2 years, during which he was named by The Guardian as the top 60 best young player of the year of 2018, he outgrew the Georgian league. He took his talents to the neighboring country Russia when he signed for Lokomotiv Moscow on loan. He only made 7 appearances in which he scored 1 goal, and after his loan expired, he left the club much to the disappointment of the Lokomotiv manager Yuri Semin, who said, "Losing that extremely talented boy made me cry." Nonetheless, he made another move, this time a permanent one to another Russian club, Rubin Kazan, and this is when he began to start getting more and more mainstream attention. Napoli were even said to have been scouting him during the time Carlo Ancelotti was still the manager of the club. In February 2021, he was named by French publication L'Equipe as the 34th best player born after 2001, being the only player from the Russian Premier League to make this list, and this kind of provided an insight to his status at the club and at the league as a whole. He simply should be playing at a much bigger club.
The full-scale invasion that intelligence officials had been warning about for weeks is now underway.
And they said that all Russian clubs and teams, they have now been eliminated.
Condemns as well the use of force and any type of violence to resolve conflicts.
His time at Rubin Kazan will come to an end early this year, as due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, FIFA gave every foreign player in Russia an opportunity to if they wanted to. Kvaratskhelia did just that, and at the time, according to the manager of the Georgian national team, Willy Sanyol, when he began working his network of contacts to try to get him a move to Western Europe, he said he was met largely with skepticism. All I heard was that he was a player who was tired. After the 70th minute, Sanyol told the French radio station RMC Sport. They said, "You know, Willy, he's just a Georgian, he's not a Brazilian, it's less glamorous." Due to this, he returned to Georgia, and in just 3 months, according to this article from the New York Times, the club saw a spike in attendance as Dinamo fans, tourists, neighbors, and even their opposing fans in large numbers flocked to the Adyarabet Stadium just to see him. He was like a wizard on the ball. His unpredictability kept the fans on the edge of their seats. He enjoyed a very successful short spell, scoring 8 goals in 11 appearances before questions regarding his future began to crop up again back in the summer of this year. Napoli, a long-time admirer, and Juventus were set to lock horns in order to get their man. Juventus particularly were said to have been in pole position to get him due to the departure of sporting director Fabio Paratici. Napoli, sensing an opportunity, moved ever so swiftly and signed him for a measly £10 million in today's money.
And Kvaratskhelia was there, and they were really surprised with this guy. So the following summer, they tried to sign him, and the request from Rubin Kazan was around 30 million euros. So it was really complicated, but 30 million euros was a lot of money for this guy who was coming from clubs that were not proven as Serie A clubs or Premier League clubs, so they wanted to be careful. The situation financially changed in the last 6 months, and so they had the opportunity to sign him just for 10 million euros, and they decided to invest it.
When Napoli signed him, not a lot was expected from him since it's his first season at Europe's top 5 leagues. After all, Napoli has a squad filled with incredibly talented players, and so breaking in was expected to be quite difficult. But no one saw this coming. In the space of a few months, 8 goals and 10 assists in his first 17 matches later, Kvaratskhelia was given the highest honor possible at Napoli by drawing comparisons with the late great Diego Maradona.
They call him the Georgian Maradona.
Because he has speed, he is cheeky, he goes inside, can go outside.
Just like Maradona in his playing days, this guy is a spectacle. Although there are and have been many players who are very good at dribbling and are very well capable of keeping everyone at the edge of their seats, Kvaratskhelia is just different. The daredevil style of dribbling, the direct runs at his opponents along with his marauding pace makes for one hell of a spectacle, which is precisely why he's been referred to as Kvaradona, and an honor this high just shows how well he's been perceived not just by the Napoli fans but around the entire world of football.
The desire that he had is, I saw a player today that not only about his skills, the desire that he had, the way he put pressure, the way he pushed the ball past Trent Alexander-Arnold, or the way he put pressure on Gomez was second to none. And the desire that he had tonight was just second to none.
He's incredibly entertaining on a match-to-match basis that there have been countless YouTube skills compilations dedicated to him, many of which are 8 to 10 minutes or longer, containing so much content in such little time, with the reaction to these clips largely being positive. It's a joy to watch him play. Bro just started and he's a highlight already. You really have to take a card to stop him, and he is not afraid of the contact game. He's a throwback player. Can see him balling in the early 2000s. Anyone else? Despite the many similarities being drawn to him and Diego Maradona, Kvaratskhelia has publicly stated that Manchester United forward Cristiano Ronaldo is his idol. Cristiano Ronaldo is my idol, even if my first one was Real Madrid's Guti. When I played in the streets of Tbilisi with my friends, I wore a white shirt writing his name on the back. Napoli have started this season in spectacular fashion, and much of this newfound success has a lot to do with the blistering form of this man. Now valued at around 80 to 100 million pounds, Vara is currently being linked heavily with the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, with the former already witnessing firsthand what he is capable of in their 4-1 defeat at the start of the Champions League season when he absolutely toyed with Trent Alexander-Arnold. 30 seconds in, a little nutmeg and a shift outside. That's some start. He's direct, he's getting at Trent Alexander-Arnold, beating Konate for pace, which is hard to do, but he's fantastic, so direct. He's probably been the most interesting player to watch. When he gets the ball, he tries to make something. He's really positive, he's great to watch. Despite his brilliant form at the moment, there's that feeling of we've only seen just little of him, which can be both a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing in the sense that there could be a lot more we could see from him in the future, but the bad part is that we are currently deciding how good he is purely based on current form and not class. As someone who believes that 100 million and above should only go towards genuine world-class players, signing a 21-year-old who's only had half a season, or if he signs in the summer, 1 season of football at the highest level, is dangerously risky. Well, at the moment, everybody's singing his praises, from managers to pundits to the fans. It is obvious people rate him highly. Wherever he decides to go, he has to ensure that it's somewhere that will enable him to express himself a lot, and should also be a place where they play according to the rhythm he understands, because this stage of his career is very important, because one mistake, then it's back to square one. Nonetheless, whoever gets to sign him will be getting an absolute gem of a player, and if utilized wisely, and of course if he manages to stay clear of injuries, we could very well see the next Diego Maradona gradually unfold right in front of us with time.